Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of HMF Live. Actually starting a couple of minutes early, but I guess I was just kind of anxious, excited about this particular topic. So probably seeing me in a different part of the house. Normally getting that view right behind me, or even the view from my office, but trying to work with different lighting and stuff. So anyway, that's probably not as important. So I'm happy that you're here, and I'm excited. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this, whether it's live or whether it's the recording. So maybe you're wondering, maybe it's something you've been thinking about, maybe it's even something that you kind of thought about, but it hasn't necessarily been on your priority list, or maybe there's a little bit of fear or shame or whatever about it. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that tonight, because part of living a healthy life is also your mental health, and that probably gets neglected more than even our physical health does. So, and then it takes something even more severe, a lot of times a trauma or something, or an actual mental health or mental illness, in order for people to really address mental health issues. So, but before we get into that, I just want to say, for those of you who might be new to watching, my name is Tanya. I am the owner and founder of Team Hustle to Muscle Fitness and HMF Live, and I have been on my own health and fitness journey now for many years, and so I use my experience and the things that I've learned in losing my own weight and getting healthy and regaining control over my health and my life to help others. And so that's why I do things like HMF Live. So if you're new to this show, to this page, to me, well, then I appreciate you being here, and I hope that I can find ways to help you make your life a little bit healthier, a little bit happier. So, but now, why did I decide to talk about therapy? It's not really anything actually that I've talked, I don't think, maybe at all about, and that's something that I probably should have done a while ago, but because it's become more of a important factor in my life, I felt like this was now a good time to talk about it. So just to give you a little bit of context, for those of you who are followers or have been for a while, this will be a refresher, but for those of you who are new, I am married, and I've been married now for 12 and a half, almost 13 years. Sorry about that, Gary. And there's been a lot of things that have been going on. We're in the process of moving, buying our own house right now, and the first house that we have ever owned. And we've been going through financial changes, transformation, getting out of debt, all that kind of stuff. And so there have been a lot of issues that have been some have been at the surface, some have boiled over the surface, some we didn't really know were there, that have started to come up lately. And so as a result, and I haven't really talked much about this, not because I'm trying to put on some kind of front, because I'm not. I try to keep this and my representation as real and authentic as possible. But Gary and I struggle. And I don't mean financially. I mean, not that we're not well off, but we still have our struggles with finances, but it's in a different way, as opposed to, before might have been not paying all of our bills because we were not on a budget or overspending or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But now we aren't quite on the same page, as you've probably seen in some of our getting out of debt videos, or you can go check those out. There's some on this page, there's some on my personal page. I think all of them are on my YouTube channel. So if you really want to get into that, you can go check those out. But so anyway, the more that we try to get on the same page about our financial goals, and this house has really brought it to light. The more we realize that we have some issues, we have some problems, and we've had some problems in our marriage, and it's not an easy thing to talk about, and it's not something that you hear a lot of couples talk about, because there can be a lot of shame and embarrassment about it, about failing marriages or multiple marriages or whatever. And so there have been a couple of times over the past 6 months where, we honestly did not think we were going to make it. And for whatever reason, it could have been just out of sheer fear of the unknown. It could have been out of not wanting to leave the comfort zone that we knew. But for whatever reason, we kept going, and some days were better than others. And more recently, we had another kind of a blowout, really. I mean, I don't know many couples that don't have some kind of big argument or blowout at some point. And I don't know, there are people that say if you don't, that's unhealthy, or if you do, it's unhealthy. So, you know, I'm not one to judge. I know that Gary and I are both very passionate and emotional people. His is more at the surface level than mine is, but when mine does come through, it is very deep, and I feel it more profoundly when it finally does bubble through. So, but anyway, as a result, like really thinking that this last time, which was only a week or two ago, was it, and that I, in my mind, had to start thinking about what all I had to do and what was life going to be like, you know, basically single, and which was scary. And so I really thought that when I woke up the next morning, that Gary and I were going to probably talk about rolling out with a divorce, and what was that going to, speak of the devil, what was that going to do?
Did you see me?
Yeah. What was that going to do for our lives moving forward, and all of our responsibilities and things that we were involved in, but to my surprise, honestly, you know, he talked about wanting to work on our problems, and not just talk about working on our problems, which is essentially what we had done in the past. And maybe other couples can relate to that, where you just kind of say, yeah, we've got problems, we'll talk about it, we'll work on it, and it kind of stays at that level. We're certainly guilty of that over the years, and sorry, my dog's trying to come sit over here. But this time around, where does this come in for the counseling? So this time around, we actually have made a plan and taken action on actually going through therapy and counseling. And so we've each decided that individually we were going to go to counseling. So he's going to go because he, you know, not to get into his story, that's his story to tell, but you know, he does have a lot of things, some of that includes trauma, that he definitely needs to work on. And while I don't necessarily have trauma in that regard, I know there are still definitely some issues, and probably some baggage from things that I definitely need to work on myself. And for me, I need to talk it out. And there are times, and maybe couples out there can relate, you sometimes, the problem that you might have with the person that you're closest to, but you feel like they're the last person that you can talk to about it. And so kind of sadly, that's where things have sort of gotten. But again, this is why I wanted to talk about therapy and counseling, because we neglect our mental health so much, and to such a severe state. You know, there's a lot of stigmas around therapy, and I'm not afraid or ashamed to say that I am seeking out therapy. Now, I will say I haven't started it yet, but and Gary actually has. Gary has started it. And then we're also doing marriage counseling, and that our first session is actually tomorrow night. And so we are taking action. Now, the reason I haven't gotten into mine yet is because, unfortunately, my insurance won't cover it because it's not a medical necessity. This is more like what they call life coaching. So I have to pay for it out of pocket. And unfortunately, most therapy, for at least quality therapy, is not exactly cheap. So because it's in our budget, I have to wait a little while before I can actually get started on mine. But so Gary has started his, because his actually can tie into some medical things, and insurance will pay for it. Yay. But we're also paying our marriage counseling out of pocket, because again, that's life coaching. So, you know, that's just the way it goes. But it is an investment that is worthwhile. We take the time to take our medical physicals, you know, like our physical body. We go and do our physicals every year, but we don't do a mental health check, which I also think is stupid that the insurances don't pay for. Just like, hey, going to talk to a therapist for just kind of a tune-up. Yes, guys, don't be afraid of being less of a man because you need help. Definitely. And as far as the cost goes, like, yeah, it might be a little chunk of change. And I'll be honest, like the counseling session that we're doing costs $150 tomorrow for a 60-minute strategy session. And really, I'd see it is a lot of money. I'm not gonna lie, but I see that as an investment. If $150 starts to get us on the right path to where we're, you know, like in sync again, we're happy again, we're together, we're, you know, where we're supposed to be as a couple, then what's $150? And because you're an admin, so you have to go through your Facebook and you can change the little thing. Sorry. So you can go, you know, it's an investment. And you think about divorce. Divorce can cost a lot more than $150. And I don't just mean in terms of monetary costs. So I am more than willing to pay $150. And you know what? If it starts to really work and we have to do it every month, I will pay $150 every month if it means that it, you know, one, it saves our marriage and it makes us both better people and it makes us better together. And yes, that was Gary posting, so it's not me talking to myself. He's an admin on the page now, so it's posting as Hustle Muscle Fitness. But same thing goes with the counseling. Like, I'm super glad that Gary's able to get his paid for by insurance, and I'm super proud of him for taking that first step. Even, let's say, worst case scenario, we split up, I still would want him to go and get that help, because I know that he has a lot of things that affect his everyday. So I'm glad that he's doing that, regardless of what we have going on. But for me, it's a little slower just because I'm, you know, paying out of pocket. But like I said, I'm not embarrassed. I'm not afraid to talk about the fact that we're going to therapy. I'm not afraid to put this out on my public space, because other people need to hear this message, and other people need to know that it's okay. Like, even for me, I feel like I'm gonna go and kind of like ask for an outsider's perspective to really just talk about, like, you know, am I seeing this or am I missing something, or, you know, kind of change how I'm framing it, you know, and change it for me. And so that's really what this is about. And so I really want to put this out there, not to just whine and complain about our problems, but to show you guys that if this strikes with you, a chord with you, that, you know, there is no perfect marriage. You know, the honeymoon stage is called a honeymoon stage for a reason. We eventually all kind of get out of it. We grow out of it. We start growing together, and, you know, you might have kids in the play, and you might have jobs and all that stuff that, you know, life gets in the way. And, you know, I think it's probably easy for, especially maybe couples with kids, to look at a couple without kids and go, well, guy, why would you have any problems? You don't have kids, only one of you has to work or whatever. Like, why would you have issues? But just goes to show you that there is no perfect marriage. Because we are people bring their personal issues and baggage to the table, and when they bring theirs, then that's just the way it goes. So I want to really encourage you that if you are experiencing problems, you know, whether you're married or not, even if you're single, you know, just schedule a chat with a counselor, a therapist. It's, you know, just like I said, it's kind of a mental health tune-up. And there's no shame. There doesn't have to be any kind of stigma about it. You don't need to be embarrassed about it. Quite honestly, like, why would you want to be embarrassed about working on you becoming the best version of you possible, on you becoming a you know, as balanced as of a person as you can, to becoming a whole, well-rounded person? There's nothing wrong with that. If it makes you a better wife, better husband, a better mom, a better dad, a better person at work to deal with, whatever, I'm just telling you that there's no shame in doing it. And quite honestly, I'm excited for our counseling session tomorrow, our marital counseling session tomorrow night. I'll probably post a little bit about it just to kind of tell you guys what's going on. We already did like the kind of pre-strategy session assessment or questionnaire, and then we have an hour-long session tomorrow, so I'm excited for that. And then as I get into my own therapy and probably end up on this sort of journey of self-discovery, rediscovery, I'll probably be sharing things that come up for me. And so I hope that, you know, this really does kind of strike a chord with you in terms of don't be embarrassed, don't be afraid. If you feel like, you know, stress or whatever has kind of taken a toll on you, schedule a time to chat with somebody, you know, and even if it's not even a professional, you know, at least talk to somebody, a close friend or whatever. But if you are needing a little bit more guidance and you need a little bit more actual strategy on how to do something or how to fix something, you know, or an opinion from someone who isn't close to you that's going to be unbiased, then definitely go and see a therapist, a counselor, somebody. Like I said, it's just a mental health check. Consider your mental health physical, if you will. So I wanted to open up a little bit about some of the struggles that we have going on, because I don't ever want people to think that we are perfect, or that I am perfect, rather I should say, and that I don't have my issues. And I know that Gary and I do a lot of like live videos and pictures and stuff together and post things or whatever, because we both still love each other very much. But that doesn't, you know, I know there's a song that's like love is all you need, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes love is not enough. Sometimes you have to really work to make it work, and that's what we're doing. And quite honestly, the longer you're with somebody, probably the more so you need to make sure that you have those tune-ups, because it's easy to neglect one another. I know for me, I work all the time, I travel a lot, I work on my business a lot, and so it's very easy for me to get wrapped up in that and forget that, you know, I mean, I have this awesome guy sitting at home who supports me in pretty much every crazy thing and dream I go after. And so because of that, it's easy for me to forget that I need to also pay more attention to him. And, you know, not that I'm not devoted to him, but to actually show him that and tell him that. And, you know, for him, because I'm sure a lot of you know, he kind of, you know, he lives in chronic pain pretty much every day. And for him, it's easy for him to get wrapped up in, you know, either how bad he feels or how much he hurts or whatever, and to forget that, like, there's still another person in the house who, you know, also needs him. And so sometimes it's about trying to get over feeling guilty or selfish for some of that stuff on both of our parts. And that's what the therapy is for. So I know this is not maybe hard to, I know it's hard to talk about. It may be kind of hard to hear, and it may be hard for you to really look inward. And tonight's message maybe even goes a little bit more towards couples, but if you still love each other and you still want to, if you're going through problems and you still want to make this work, then take the time to do the work, so that way you guys can be together, be happy again, be whole again. That's what we are working on, because we know that we are stronger when we're together, and I think it's fair to say that we are both happier when we're together than the thought of not. So for us, it's worth it. And at the very worst, last case scenario, if by some chance in the end this doesn't work, at least we said that we tried everything that we thought we could. So maybe this wasn't the happiest episode, but I want it to be real. I wanted it to be honest, and hopefully you've learned from me, if you've been following me long enough, that I try to do nothing if that, but keep it real and be authentic. So I'm still always willing, if you have I'm kind of stumbling over my words because it's so personal, but if this is something that sounds familiar to you, or if it sounds like your own story, or you don't even have anyone to turn to, shoot me a message. I'm always willing to just chat. Sometimes we just need somebody, maybe even a stranger. Maybe you've been following me, you don't really know me, but or don't know me personally, and maybe we just need that stranger to just be a comforting ear. So, and I'm always willing to, you know, offer any insight I can, or just listen if that's what you need to. So I hope that you guys get some value out of this. If nothing else, go and get a mental health tune-up, get a checkup, and, you know, be happy here too. That's what we're trying to work on. So anyway, I hope this is helpful, and I would love to hear your feedback. Anybody out there who is, you know, going to therapy or counseling and proud of it, let me know. because we need to get rid of that stigma that therapy means you're crazy, or that therapy is bad, or that you shouldn't be embarrassed that you go to a shrink. Like, that's stupid. You know, we live in 2017. There are a lot of issues in this world. And I mean, as much as I love social media can be one of the contributors. So I want to hear loud and proud if you are, maybe you're in the mental health space, like you're a counselor. Shout outs to you, because you guys have to hear a lot of people's problems. And I hope that you're taking care of yourselves too. But anyway, I hope this was helpful, and I would love to hear some feedback from you if this was of any kind of value to you. So I hope you guys have a great night. I'm trying to keep these around 20 minutes, and we're right around that point. So as always, if you need anything, you know where to find me. I hope you guys have an awesome night and enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll talk soon. Bye.